This is an interview with J. Krishnamurti by Roy Tuckman in Ojai, California, 1983.
We're sitting with Guru Krishnamurti at his Ojai residence.
It's really, I'm a guest here of Mrs. Zimbalist, really.
You're a guest, but you're here every year.
Every year, yes.
I was wondering, I'm sure a lot of people are, what your daily life is. You get up in the afternoon. What do you do on a normal day?
What do I do? I get up round 5:30. Get ready and do some sort of yoga, which some of the top yoga teachers in India showed me some of them. So I do that for an hour.
This would be hatha yoga exercise?
No, it's not. It's called yes, probably it's not quite hatha yoga. It's some form of yoga. And then breakfast. And then I write or dictate, not letters, or I'm writing now something or other. And then breakfast, write some more. And then bath, lunch, rest, and see a lot of people. Or people, a group of people all the time, like that. That's my day. And it is the same in England, same in India.
And you travel, every year you visit these schools.
In India, not only schools, I go to Delhi, talk to all, I talk all over India. Delhi, near Benares. Then last year, I talked in Calcutta, then Madras and so on. Then I go back to England, and then I come here.
You've been talking for maybe 70 years now?
60 years.
60 years. And do you ever get tired of talking? Does it seem to be a repetitive ritual to you any time?
What do you mean by ritual?
That you talk against the falling into the trap of doing the same thing, the same life plan.
No, this is not a trap. I've stopped talking. I've stopped traveling.
You have?
I have. So I'm always careful that it doesn't become a habit, a routine, or something that has to be done over and over again.
Well, it's something you enjoy doing. Then.
No, I wouldn't call it enjoy. It's something that it's like, should we put it? Perhaps it is the you do what you think is right, without any feeling of getting some kind of reward or self-fulfillment, all that nonsense.
So
because it's like a teacher who loves teaching. Whether people listen, don't listen. Whether they understand, don't understand. It's the thing that you're doing, you love to do. It's not a rewarding or a self-fulfillment, which will be terrible.
What do you get your self-fulfillment from? Or is this
no, it's not self-fulfillment.
But the speaking isn't. But is there something that gives you self-fulfillment, or do you reject the concept?
I reject that totally, that concept that you derive fulfillment from talking or painting, or I think self-fulfillment is like what? You desire something and get it. You fulfill. You have urges and you fulfill those urges. You want to be a rich man, and you strive to be rich. But it isn't at all like that. It isn't. The thing on the contrary, the denial of the self, not self-fulfillment. This is rather complicated, because everyone wants to be somebody, right?
Almost everybody.
Almost, not almost. You can say practically everyone wants to be somebody, follow somebody, be known, all that kind of business. I'm afraid I don't belong to that category.
So it is not everybody, but almost everybody. But you already are somebody. You were brought up to be, from an early age, you were brought up to be somebody very special, and you were given very special treatment and very special attention, and prepared for the role of Messiah, which you rejected.
No, I think that, no, you see, the word Messiah was given in America, really. Uh-huh. There was the whole idea, you see, that when they adopted my brother and myself, there was this feeling that when they found this boy, that one day you'll be a great teacher. And I was educated abroad in England and France and Italy. But we had a very big organization of which I was the head, and with castles and enormous pieces of land all over the place, lands all over the place. I returned them all, and I said, this is to be a really religious person. Property is not important. Money isn't important.
I have a good friend who said about you that Krishnamurti has given away what most gurus would give their left chakra to get. I have some notes on a napkin here. Oh yes, you're interested. You do have schools though.
Ordinary schools. There are in India 5 schools. And one for the very, very poor in Bombay, and one on the outskirts of Benares, you know where Benares is in the north, and one is in Madras, one is in Bangalore, and the other is Rishi Valley. 5 of the schools. Ordinary schools, not spiritual, all that nonsense, just schools for students to pass exams, all that business.
Mm-hmm. The kind you don't approve of normally. Mm-hmm. But you have a school in Ojai.
Ojai, and in England.
And these are not ordinary schools. These are not ordinary schools.
No, I hope not.
I understand you're very concerned about education of children.
Yeah, because they are the future generation, right? Mm-hmm. Children are the future generation. When they are not properly educated, holistically, as a whole, not just develop their intellect or memory, they're just the ordinary schools. Here, all of us are trying to educate not only academically, but also psychologically, to understand the whole nature of oneself and all that. There are 2 here in this school at Ojai. They're very, very young, so you can't discuss all this with them, but it is more or less transmitted to them. In these other schools in England and in India, that they're going to all this.
So
to be different human beings, not just the usual business, the way.
We have been to the regular school.
The world is becoming more and more insane. There must be some kind of sanity in the people. Somebody, or a group of sane, rational, logical people. Not believing in some kind of nonsense.
I'm wondering about the audiences that you've had in the United States. Have the people, the type of people, been changing? Did you get? I imagine you possibly during the '60s your audiences got very young, and now they're getting older again.
And also there are a lot of young people.
Still young people.
Last year I talked in Carnegie Hall. You know about it?
In New York. Yeah.
New York, and it was sold out. And there were lots and lots of young people. Oh, it's cross-section of a society.
That's what we
In India there are about enormous audiences, 5,000 to 8,000 people. It's the same thing. Cross-section. The intellectuals, the romantics, the seekers of idiotic gurus and all the rest of it.
Well, I imagine that many of the people feel that they're following you.
No, but I have always said don't follow anybody, including me. Let's talk things over together, rather than accept what another says blindly or rationally and follow that. After all, we've had gurus, teachers and leaders, all over the world, saviors, and we are where we are after all these centuries. So what is important is to understand yourself, not understand somebody who tells you what you are.
Your talks are such a challenge that it seems they become so intense at times that sometimes one feels that if you don't have, after hearing the talk, if you haven't changed your entire consciousness for the rest of your life, that somehow you as a listener have failed.
No, sir. It's not our intention to make the listener feel guilty. After all, you're telling me something, and I've come to listen to you. And if I just listen to you casually, superficially, what's the point of my coming and listening to you? But if you come seeing what the world is, how the world is becoming more and more insane, and perhaps what you say might have some reason, logic, sanity behind it, and I would come and listen to you and see if what you're saying is true or false. If it is true, I accept it. I go with it. I'm interested. If it is false, I walk out.
But you have to make that decision if it is true or false.
But not decision. I mean, talking over together, you see what is true. Say, for instance, what is happening in the world now. They are all preparing for war, right?
Always.
Always. It has been going on for the last 7,000 years. Historically, from ancient Egypt to modern, the wars between the Arab and the Jew, the preparation for war, nuclear, and so on. Now, we are still doing what we have done, killing each other for the last 7,000 years, 5,000 years, more. Why? Why haven't we learned the lesson or seen the futility of killing each other? Because we are tribal-minded. American tribe, this is, when they call us we Americans, it's a tribe. Glorified nation is a tribe. British, you follow? This divided, man has divided the world into religious divisions, national divisions. And hope through this division they'll have security. Right? They want security. And they hope by dividing like this, they'll have security. They haven't. They are destroying each other. And the politicians will never see this. Unless we have global relationship.
What do you think the prospects are for a global relationship?
Very little.
Very little. And yet, as a matter of, if somebody's interested in political action, and what one would think the normal path to try to stop this would be to become a politician yourself and then try to stop it. Yet
no,
you present...
One can't. To become a political leader, you have to do so many rather not straight things. But on there in the world, sane people, rational people, who do not think the world as nations, but as human beings. I mean, after all human beings suffer. All human beings have fears, anxieties, depression, and so on. We are not American suffering, or Russian suffering, or Indian suffering. Suffering is suffering for all humanity. So we are, in our consciousness, share the rest of the world. This is rather, if you want to go into it, I don't know if you want to, it's a rather complex problem.
We have been over it many times in the listening to the talks.
Yes.
And I don't think we want to get a personal talk.
I've talked to great many politicians. But they say it's a marvelous idea, but we can't do it.
It won't sell. Well, what about someone who takes action, such as Gandhi? There's a resurgence of interest in Mahatma Gandhi right now in the U.S.
Sir, after all, what he was one perhaps of the. There are others who are working for India to free India. Right? There are a great many. But he happened to be at the right moment at the right time. The right time in the right place. But before he became such public figure, there were others who were working for freedom of India. I haven't seen the new film. Gandhi doesn't. They are trying to. Are they trying to make him into a saint?
Not quite, but almost. I understand that you have named a successor, David Bohm.
What's that?
I have heard a rumor that, do you know David Bohm?
Very well.
That you have named him as a successor?
No.
Huh? No.
I don't.
This is a rumor.
Sir, I don't do it. I'm nobody, sir. I can't appoint somebody to be a successor. Successor to what?
Well, he might. He's a physicist. He might agree to be nobody.
No, but we are great friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not to pass on something because I dislike this whole idea of a leader, follower, because it's all so silly.
Do you really feel you're just a a human being with some special knowledge, and you, as an individual, wander and have set up.
It's not. I've been in this country for since 1922. I've been all over the world except in the totalitarian world. We human beings go through all kinds of anxieties and sorrows, right?
Yeah.
And unless you understand them, you create a monstrous world, as we are doing. So, if you have seen this fact and you talk about it, you're not something. I've had a great many experience of certain types, but that's irrelevant when you're talking how to bring about a different society, a different way of living.
You're you're about 84 years old now?
No,
85?
I'm 88.
88? And you seem to be in very good health.
Very.
And I imagine that this is related to the way you live.
Yes, sir.
I've
never eaten meat in my life.
Never?
Eaten meat in my life.
And what else?
I don't smoke, drink, and all the rest of that stuff. And I lead, I do exercise, walk.
There are...
And also I think it's important not to have any conflict. That's essential.
No conflict?
Yeah, none whatever. Of any kind.
Isn't this a tremendously difficult thing to accomplish?
No. If you see clearly what causes conflict, and if one likes to live in conflict, it's a fair. But personally, I think conflict destroys not only relationship, but also one's own brain, wears down the brain. The strain, the conflict, the anxieties, the fears, all that distorts the brain, the psyche.
But doesn't conflict present itself in life all the time?
In what way?
If you decide, say, I would decide I do not wish to have conflict anymore.
No, it's not a question of decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to understand conflict requires a great deal of investigation, not just I won't have conflict. If you say you won't have conflict, that's just you are being blind. Right? If you decide not to have conflict, the very decision implies conflict. But if you see the nature of conflict, the structure, why conflict exists, if you've gone into it, if you have observed very carefully in relationship with people in the world, conflict has existed for millions of years between human beings. So, is it possible to be free of conflict? It comes, but to be free of it and face it and dissolve it.
So it's not the same as avoiding conflict
Of
from the
course
outside.
not, on the contrary. But a mind that's not in conflict can resolve conflict immediately, not the other way around. You understand?
Yes.
That is, if one's mind is free from conflict, if that is possible, I say it is possible, in our relationship with each other, having no nationalities, you follow all that business, not prejudice, not committed to any formula or any conclusion, then mind is really free, not there The mind itself has no problems. Because you have problems when you want to become something, or this or that.
Many people enjoy conflict. They
Of course,
need conflict.
Of course, that's part of their game. They think conflict is progress. Competition is necessary to achieve something or other.
You include competition with conflict, then.
Of course.
You are not competitive.
No. I personally are asking?
Yes.
No. Why should I be competitive? About what? More reputation? I don't want to be known. I mean, it doesn't interest me.
But you are.
And that happens. I'm not interested. If nobody pays attention, I'm equally, it's all right.
One more thing. I wanted to question you about death. And many people are, I would say most people, especially older people, are afraid of death, extinction, the blackness.
So that it's a very complex question, isn't it?
Yes.
May I ask, which is more important, before or after death? Before, in the sense, the long life, it may be 50 years, 80 years, or 10 years. And one dies at the end of it. What is important, the inevitable death, which no human being can avoid, no gods can avoid this, because gods are invented by man, by thought. So, which is more vitally important to consider? The dying or the living?
The living.
Living, obviously. Right? And if one is frightened of death, that means you're frightened of all the things you have accumulated. Right?
You're frightened of losing.
The ending. Mm-hmm. I have accumulated knowledge, I've accumulated books, I've accumulated old furniture, I've accumulated various forms of experiences. All that comes to an end when I die. So, is it possible, this is rather complex and requires a great deal of inquiry, is it possible to live a life with death, not death at the end of life? I'll explain what I mean. See, that's why it will take so long, all this. So, take for example, one is attached to some ideal, to some conclusion, concept, or attached to a person. And when death comes, it all ends. I'm attached, if one is attached to your wife, when death comes, your wife is finished. The attachment ends. Right?
Yeah.
Now, is it possible, while living, not to be attached? This is really a very complex question. The question is simple, but the content of the question is very complex. Because when we die, both the physical organism and all the psychological memories experiences, etc., so on, come to an end. Or, as the ancient Hindus and the Asiatics believe, that there is life after death. Right?
Yes.
Now, if you believe in reincarnation, which is to be reincarnated next life, that means if you are not capable of living rightly during this life, then you have an opportunity next life. That's the idea. Put it very crudely. But most people who believe in reincarnation don't pay attention to the present day living. They are competitive, they are brutal, they are violent, they are, you follow?
Yeah.
They're like everybody else. But the idea that next life you have a better opportunity is meaningless when you are living this way. So the future is what you are now. Right, sir?
Mm-hmm.
So, as we asked, living is more important than to find out what happens after death, right?
Yeah.
So, what's our living? Our daily living, which is extended for 50 years or 60 years or 10 days or 10 years. What's our daily living? Conflict, right? Competition, depression, loneliness, anxiety, fear, right?
Yeah.
Sorrow. This is our life. Labor, labor, labor. At the end of 80 or 50 years, you die. And we are afraid of death because we cling to this rather than say, I don't know what happens to. You follow? So one clings to this. And this thing we call is living. This monstrous society in which we live. The corruption, all things that are going on, kidnapping, terrorists, wars, day after day for 50 years labor. Go to the office for 60 years. Right, sir? This is what we call living.
Normally. Yeah.
With pleasure, jealousy of one's wife or one's husband, attachment, possession. In all this, there is the everlasting fear, conflict, unhappiness. This is what we call living. So, living is this, and death is the ending of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not bring death very close? Say, look, I'm attached to my wife. I'm attached to my to Christian symbols and saviors and all that. Let go. So it is a really very intricate and subtle question whether it's possible to live a life in which there is no attachment, which doesn't mean indifference. Because that's what death is going to say to you. Death is going to say, you can't take your wife, you can't take your bank account. You can't take all your precious furniture or this or that. So is it possible to live without any kind of attachment? Which means, is it possible to love without attachment? To love another human being. We don't know what that means either. we are reduced to sensory pleasure and call that love. Sexuality, love of power, position, all that's what's happening in the name of love.
I'd like to ask one more question, and I don't mean this...
No, sir, please, you can ask anything you like.
I don't mean this...
Please, sir, please.
Okay. Do you remember your Williamson motorcycle? I understand you used to have a motorbike in England when
I was a boy.
When you were a teenager.
With my brother. I think there was an accident. And from that moment, we weren't allowed to ride it.
You had a sidecar?
I think so, that's right, sir. How do you know this?
Oh, this was in the book, The Years of Awakening?
Oh, I don't remember even. I don't read books that are written about me. So or the critics, I keep away from all that.
You love to tinker with the motor?
What?
You love to tinker with the motor?
Yes, sir. There used to be a Packard here. I used to dismantle it and put it together. And I used to play golf a great deal. My handicap was 3 to 4. You know what that means?
No. That means you were pretty good, huh?
Yes. It's what, from hole to hole, there's so many strokes. See,
par.
From the par, that's right. I was below par, 4, 3, 4.
That's very good. Well, we do a motorcycle program too, so that's why I noticed I remembered the mention
I
of
don't
Williamson.
remember the name of it today. It's all so long ago.
It mentions that one woman, Emily, was
Lady
Emily was riding in the sidecar, and you drove quite rapidly, and she had to keep reminding herself that you were specially protected. We tried to find a photograph of a Williamson, but we were unsuccessful. We thought you might like that.
I don't remember it at all.
Well...
Where do you live, sir?
We live in Los Angeles.
Oh, you live in Los Angeles.
Right next to a radio station, KPFK. And we broadcast one of your talks every week.
Oh.
And altogether...
Are people interested in all this?
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Yes, many people are interested. Many people complain. You are...
destructive.
No. I think you're not entertaining, but you say that at the beginning, this is not going to be...
They want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have noticed on television and all that, how sports are taking prominence.
Oh, yes. There was a newspaper article yesterday saying 7 out of 10 Americans are addicted to sports. 7 out of 10.
See, not what they call sport is watching other people playing.
Well, where else could you have a handicap? You watch somebody who has the handicap and you say, that's my game.
No, and also, I think the world is so irrational, right, sir? So unhappy, and people are becoming so confused that they hold on to any kind of nonsense, so-called religious nonsense.
But some nonsense is good.
Such as what?
Humor. Humor is...
That's all right, I have to laugh. But you can't laugh all the time.
No.
I mean, it's good to laugh.
But you need a little nonsense to laugh about.
It's a little, but when the whole activity of human beings are becoming more and more nonsensical, meaningless, just to earn a livelihood, one has to earn a livelihood. One has to have various physical needs, but everything has become so extravagant. You follow, sir? And that's why people want to be entertained. You're right.
Okay, well, we appreciate you giving us this time.
No, sir, please.
It's been a great pleasure.
Do you go back tonight?
Yes, I've promised to play the tape at midnight tonight, and we'll be sending you a copy for the library. We play the...
Did you come by the sea coast?
We came
coast
by the
highway?
coast, yeah.
Is it open?
It was we came last night.
It was open? You
Last
could
night
come
it
all the
was.
way along the sea?
Oh, no. Well, we came to, from Los Angeles to Highway 33 and up. It was open that far. Yeah.
You didn't come, what do they call the freeway from Los Angeles to Ventura?
Ventura Freeway, no.
Yeah.
We took that. Oh. But we
not
weren't not along the ocean.
That's lovely.
Not 101.
That's closed, is it?
That may be closed.
Yeah.
It was raining last night. We came up a day in advance because we
it was
didn't
raining
want
last night here.
we like to come into Ojai. It's a beautiful place.
Beautiful
and,
place, yes.
We come here as often as we can, and coming through here. And we play your talks after we play Alan Watts. I don't know if you know.
Oh yes, I used to meet him.
Well, we play Alan Watts on Monday at the top of the program at the beginning, and then we have you following Alan Watts. And some people think it's the whole time is wasted because it's all religious.
No.
But it isn't. But many people are very grateful to be able to hear it. And just last week we played one of your 1949 talks, and we were listening to the similarities and the differences. It was wonderful. You sounded, of course, younger. Instead of talking about serious people, you were talking about earnest people. And there are a couple of other small differences, but it was the same message, and it was always wonderful to hear. And if we have time to sit and not work and just to listen, it's always very rewarding, if not always entertaining. So
You have left the instructions about that tree.
Yes, Mary has them.
It has to be watered every day?
Yes, it likes lots of water. We have one just like it at our home. So.
But just a little water, or probably the instructions are all there, so we'll
The
read
instructions are there.
And you put it out in the sun?
It likes to live outside, but you bring it in for special occasions or to just enjoy at a special time in your room.
Oh, I was reading about it the other day in some magazine about the bonsais.
No, they're very beautiful, and sometimes I found it's a good way when you experience it. You alter the size of yourself. It helps to stimulate the altering of your size, or part of your definition of yourself changes as part of the meditation. Not that you become very big and the tree is very small, but it's nice to be upset a little bit like that.
Japanese have these trees many centuries old, some of them.
Well, this one is not that old, but we bought it because it's just a good shape, and it's probably a few years old. We'll try to find out.
Is it cultured in America, California?
Yeah, grown in California.
This grown.
Although it's a Japanese.
By the Japanese.
It's a Japanese juniper. I don't know who grew them. I think Americans are doing them now too. But I'm glad you enjoy it. And, thank you very much for sharing your time.